to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and we're officially ready now to start part 2 of our video. And I've goofed off a week since I got started on it. In fact, since I left off on some of it. But anyway, the weather's changing. It's getting nice. We had about 3 days towards the end of last week that were really nice. They were low 80s, and one of them was a 75-degree day. So I think the days of being in the 90s are about over. The humidity went away for the weekend, and the nights are starting to be nice. So even though it's Houston and it's humid, it's not so hot. Anyway, so we're going to start on part 2, and I'm sure there's going to be a part 3 and maybe a part 4 to this project, because there's a lot more to it than it looks like. And I really need to get it done too, because I've got a lot of outside work that's going to have to be done instead of doing videos. I got trim on the house I got to replace. There's some rotten stuff. Who knows? Once you start digging into that, who knows how much rotten stuff you're going to find? You know, I need to get over to Harbor Freight or Northern Tool and buy me a scaffold to work off of. The last one I made out of a piece of plywood, about 4 foot off the ground, and I stepped on a weak spot on it, and it collapsed, and I landed right on my back. And that was holding a pair of needle nose pliers, and they closed up in my hand and made a big old cut in my finger, and altogether unpleasant. So this time I'm getting a scaffold, and I've also got those trees to cut down in the back. And now that the weather is getting nice, I'm gonna have to get to working on that. So I may have to amuse you guys with wood chipping video or something, but it's time to get to work on this stuff. As soon as we finish this video, of course, you know, this project, we're going to make a ball turner or die trying. Alright, so let's just get on with it. Alright, so we're going to take our Randy Richards scribe, and we're going to lay this thing out for about a little bigger than 5/8 on the side. I can see that all the way. Alright, so that's sort of an L shape. It's a little bit bigger than what we need. I'll cut some of it off as we go along. But I can take the bandsaw and cut the bigger chunks out and get on with the job. At one point I started to get a bigger end mill, and then I thought, no, this thing's hanging out really precariously, huh? So maybe if I use a smaller end mill, I won't get so much vibration or stress on it, and it might cut better. So I don't know. I'm not a machinist, so how would I know? I'm going to give it a shot. I think that's going to work out. You guys can come back later, because it's just back and forth. Alright, now all I got to do is clean up the chips, roll it over, and we'll take the most of the material off of the other side. Alright, so I got my one good edge against the back of the vise, and we're going to make another good edge. At least we think so. By we, I mean me. I know you probably got doubts. You can come back when I'm done. Okay, so while you guys were napping, I changed the end mill to a 5/8 and slowed the RPM down to 500, and I think that now I've got two good sides, one back here and one here, so I'll just flip it over and have this good side against the parallels and that good side against the back. And I probably won't cut any after I flip it over because it's getting late, and you might just call it a day, and we'll take it up again tomorrow or the next day, somewhere in there. Well, instead of knocking off for the night, I decided to cut just enough there to make sure this and this were square. Then I'll knock off for the night. But it seemed like a good thing to do right there at the time. And so there we are. We'll take up at this point later on. Well, during the 3 or 4 days since I cut the last piece, I went to an auction, and for $32 I got 6 boxes of bolts and nuts and such, and you know, it's a big pile of stuff I've got here now, and I don't know what the heck was I thinking. Where am I going to put all this stuff? That's a lot of stuff there. I guess I can get it out of all the little bubble wrapper things and make more room, but it seemed like a good deal considering how much this stuff cost at the hardware store. I saw this in one of the boxes and I thought, what the heck? It's a hood bumper assortment. So I guess I need a bumper for my hood. There you are. For General Motors. I don't own any General Motors. What am I going to do? I don't know. There's a lot of different things in there though. Well, I guess it's been a week since I said I'll be back to do this in the morning. In the meantime, I've done things like going to an auction and everything, and going to the Steel Challenge, where I got a time that was 3/4 of a second faster than last month. Nothing to brag about it, but at least I've leveled out there at a new level. So I guess I've cut this straight, and I've cut this straight up this way. So now I need to lay it over and cut the thickness down to close to what I want it to finish up at, and then the bottom part here I'm going to make a 1/2 inch and probably leave a little bit that'll ride on top of the little hockey puck part. I'll put a 1/2 inch slot in here and 1/2 inch down in there, and if there's a little bit left over here, it'll just ride up here on the top, maybe add a little stability, maybe not, who knows. And by the time I get that far, I could change my mind again. After all, old geezers do that. Alright, so we got to get this thing out of the vise, and that means everything's got to be cleaned up and, you know, deburred and all the chips removed. So you just take a nap while I do the dirty work. Alright, got her deburred, set up in the vise. This is the insert that I'm going to use with it to be the cutter, and it's 5/8 of an inch from one corner to the other. So I'm going to make the thickness of this 5/8 of an inch, and I'll do it all from right here. I think this is the last move, and I'll have to square off the bottom a little bit so that everything is neat and tidy. And then when I get it to the thickness and the bottom squared off, and then I'll have to cut the little piece to go in the groove that I'm going to cut the hockey puck. and then we will worry about the height. I'll set it up over there on the lathe and put a center in it, and we'll see where the real true top of the thing's got to be for sure. I mean, I have a measurement that I think's right, but it never hurts to double check a couple of times. So in a minute I'll put this insert up and then we'll start cutting again. Okay, away we go. In a minute. I'm not going to make you guys watch pass back and forth. I'll cut a little bit of it out, turn the camera off, and the rest that I show you will probably be fast forwarding. After all, back and forth, that's pretty repetitive. Alright, this is the last cut to make it 5/8. Alright, that ought to be 5/8. So next thing is to set up to cut this down to 1/2 inch. I'm gonna excuse me, I'm gonna leave it a little bit fat because I'm gonna use a roughing end mill to cut the slot in the hockey puck over there, and that might cut a little bigger than 1/2 inch for all I know. So if I leave this in about 40 thousandths fat, well, then I can make the slot fit it instead of making it fit the slot. Alright, I think you can see my mark right about there. Goes up a 1/2 inch from the bottom here, and I'm going to try to cut right up there close to that mark. And I'm going to remove about 61 thousandths from this side and 61 thousandths from the other side. And that should have us, you know, close. Well, maybe I'll remove 40 thousandths from this side. I'm going to go back and recalculate it because I said I would leave this thing 40 thousandths fat. I'm going to cut 41, oops, sorry about kicking you. I'm going to cut 41 thousandths off each side. So the camera's in the way. That's all there is to it. So you're going to have to move back. Now then, you can watch from there. Just too much to deal with it being in the way. Clean it up. I'll get my guesstimators and see how deep it really is. That's 0.471, so that's very close to 1/2 inch. So I guess what we'll do from there is go the rest up. 0.471. I'll bring you back in a minute. Alright, I needed 0.029, but 0.030 is about as close as I seem to be able to get it to go. I keep running back and forth past it, so that's where we're going to cut it. Alright, pop it out, roll it over, deburr it, all that stuff. So take a little nap while I do the dull work. Alright, I got it marked again. And I rolled it over, and if I'd left the quill down the same depth as before, it should have cut to exactly the right size. But I wanted to be cautious about that, so I raised it up about 10 thousandths or so to make sure that everything comes out alright. I can make 2 cuts, it won't cost me that much. Time for a little measuring. I guess I'm going to need to move it so that I can get my micrometer in there. Yeah. Well, let's move it this way. I can come right back to that same spot with the DRO, so it's not a really desperate thing. Alright, that's 555. I need to go down about 15 thousandths. Move it over here a little. Here enough to put a micrometer on it. That's 545 thousandths. I said I was going for 540, so I guess a spring cut wouldn't hurt it. Yep. That's about a half thousandth under. With that rough surface there, it's probably more than that under, but we'll clean all that up before we get through. Alright, so I took my little machinist square here and set it straight up. I think that'll give me a better chance at getting it just right than I had laying it over. It's kind of important for you to deburr before you measure. That's what threw me off a minute ago. I measured with a burr on it, so when I set my X, I came back and I was off, and it confused me. I couldn't figure out why was I not as close as I thought I was on the other side. Well, I really was that close, pretty near. It's just I had a stupid burr, you know, that put everything in the wrong spot. Alright, so let me get this set up, you know, get the cutter set close. I'll just use a little piece of paper to know when I get up close, and then we'll make the cut that way. This piece of paper is just a little over 4 thousandths thick, according to my measurement. And we will stick him in here, and I'll come up until it cuts it. Pulls it out of my hand, whichever. And then we'll know we're within about 4 thousandths of the surface. Alright, that's pretty close. So I'm going to zero out the X, and I'm going to move it over till I see a chip. Which is probably easier to do with this. I can hear it touching. So I know I'm there. Alright? So there's X0. Now we'll bring the Y down to where it should be. Alright, so I'm going to do that on the other side, same thing, and no use me showing it twice. Well, Ole and Sven, a couple of old retired Norwegian boys, was living at the retired Norwegian home there in North Minnesota, and one day they're sitting out there, you know, out in the patio on a couple of rockers, watching the sun coming up and going down and stuff like that, and Lena had to look around the corner, and she saw them, you know, sitting there talking. She decided to play a joke on them. So she took off all her clothes, come run right past them, you know, and Ole says, Sven, he says, was that Lena? And Sven says, well, yeah, I think so. Ole says, well, Sven, what was she wearing? Sven says, I don't know, but it sure needed ironing. Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.